welcome to another historical stomp. I'm down on the rather windy Isle of Wight. I'm just outside a tiny hamlet called Ashey, and I'm walking down the path towards Ashey railway station. Now, when you look at the size of Ashey, it's a bit of an absurdity that it even had a railway station in the first place, let alone two, but it did. So I want to have a look at just why that was. So before we start, I'll get up rail map online. The maroon lines on this are the Isle of Wight Central Railway. Now the one going from the right all the way into the middle was the Ryde to Newport line on that Isle of Wight Central Railway. And if I close in a little bit more, that spur coming off there at Ashey, that's the branch line we're going to look at today. It's a very muddy path, but any second now, Ashey railway station should be revealed. There she is. Now that's a private residence. It's an active line now on the Isle of Wight Steam Railway, and there is a halt. So what I'll do, I'll come round, get on that platform. I apologise for the wind, it really is crazy. I came over to the Isle of Wight yesterday and the boat was going absolutely insane. So this line was built in 1875 and it closed in 1966 as part of the beaching cuts, as a lot of the lines across the Isle of Wight and indeed across the UK did. But thank goodness it was reopened in 1991 as part of the Isle of Wight Steam Railway. And so fortunately it's come back to life and you can get a steam train through here again. So here we go. Just a little halt now. Oh, nearly rolled an ankle. And here we go. I'm not sure we can actually get on there, whether the gates are closed. Maybe trains aren't running today then. But there you go, there's the station building that was built in 1875. Like I say, that's a private residence. Now it used to be double track, used to have a passing loop, as you can see from the remains of the platform on the other side. But that was taken away in the 1920s, I believe, actually. So that's been a private residence for a long time, of course. What we're going to do is follow a little known spur that came off of this line. So as you can see from the drone footage, there's basically no houses around here. But if you look at old maps, going back to sort of 1914 and what have you, and before, there were even less then. So just why would you build a railway station here? And not only that, why would you build two? Mate, what a touch. There we go. It's not a steam train. That is one of the old trams that used to run up and down Ryde Pier. Look at that. So they are running today. Amazing. What a touch. You never know, we might get steam trains as well. What with it being Good Friday today. That would be great. I do love me a steam train. So we're going to walk away from Ashey Station now. So that way you're going down to Smallbrook Junction and eventually into Ryde. And then this way, it did go to Newport, onto Cowes and what have you, but now it goes to a place called Wootton, and it goes through Haven Street, which is the centre really of this heritage line. This wind is insane, but I'm clambering over the stile. Now when I was a kid, that heritage line simply went between Wootton and Haven Street. It was a couple of miles. And then in 1991 they expanded to join up with the rest of the British rail network at Smallbrook Junction. And actually, my dad had a huge part to play in that, because he actually put the Isle of Wight Steam Railway and British Rail together, organised a meeting in London and sat them down and chaired it. He never got any credit for that, which my dad's not bothered about. He doesn't need recognition, but I think he deserves it anyway. So you can walk here. This is the path. It's a public footpath now, thankfully, because I was a bit concerned it was going to be private land, but it's not, and you can see it's well walked. But that, with my spidey senses, that's the line, isn't it? Let's have it right. That's the railway line there. So this spur came off and goes all the way over there into that chalk pit. Can you just see that in the distance? That's where we're walking to. That chalk pit there. I've come up onto that track bed now in the hope that actually it provides a little bit of shelter from the wind, because it's a bit mad. Hopefully it's audible enough to not be that annoying. But this story starts with a guy called George Young. Now George Young was a Scotsman with a load of wonga in his pocket, and he bought something called Ashey West Farm, which is the farm across this field, still there. He was also a director of the Isle of Wight Central Railway, and he was one of the main money men involved in 1875 when this railway line opened. So we're on the track bed now. Literally hugs all the way around. You can follow it there, look, around the hedges there. And that bit there in the distance where the trees seem to come out, there's a tunnel there. Yeah, so anyway, George Young owned this farm, put a load of money into building the railway, and he also owned that chalk pit. So this branch line was built up to the chalk pit, and they were smashing chalk out left, right and centre. They could deliver a ton of chalk to any railway station on the Isle of Wight for you to pick up for 7.5p. It's not bad, is it? I don't know what you do with a ton of chalk, but there you go. So anyway, he built a station here. Now, legend has it, the geezer had a bit of an ego, and so he built the station for his own convenience. I don't think it's as simple as that though, because he also had permission to build a village here on these fields. There's Ashey West Farm up there. All these fields that now sit empty would have basically had a town built on them. Oh, that wind. Now, for potential buyers of these properties, a railway station was a prerequisite, which is why he built this station here. Problem is, by the end of the 1880s, he'd run out of money. I think a few of his other business deals had gone south, and he was basically skinned. So the idea of building this town went out the window. So instead you're left with two railway stations, Ashey there where we just looked, and Ashey West, which we're about to come up to, but no one to live there. Right. This is basically the site of the station. I wish there was a station here now, I tell you, so I didn't have to walk in this. Look at the state of that. Wow. Look up at Ashey. Do you know what I mean? 2 or 3 houses. It's just fields. And a station there, and a station here. But as I say, he had permission to build on all this land. And that's where he lived there at Ashey West Farm. So when he ran out of money, desperate obviously as you would be, he leased out these fields for horse racing. And so by 1883, they were holding regular horse meets here, and it became known as the Isle of Wight Grand National, right? People were coming, thousands. They were saying upward of 3,500 to 4,000 people would come from all over the south of England down here to watch the horse racing. You had bookies coming down from London and all sorts. And actually, where basically that bit of water is now, that was where it was. And there was a grandstand here. Big wooden grandstand. This was the track bed here, and this was around about where the station for Ashey West was in this area. It's quite hard to tell because you're basically just going off of old maps. Now these horse races went on for the best part of 50 years until in 1928 the grandstand caught fire. I don't know how it caught fire, whether it was arson or whether it was an accident or whatever. Anyway, it was gutted, it was gone. So the horse racing carried on for another couple of years, but by 1940 they demolished the grandstand and everything was gone. Still following the track bed. I'm coming up now to the road access into the farm, and you can see on old maps it shows up as this line going across there. I really am sorry about the wind, it is absolutely brutal. I got chased through this field once by a herd of cows about 15 years ago. I'd come up here just for a bit of a walk and a bit of an explore, see what I could find. And I got eye contact with one of them and I thought, this one don't look right in the head. And it wasn't, it suddenly just started legging it after me. I bricked it, I was running. It must have looked like a hell of a sight for anyone watching from any of those windows over there. Looking for some embedded track, like well excited. Never gonna happen. So there, it's nice and easy to follow the line. It's just alongside the hedges, and there's Ashey Station in the distance. Up there you've got Ryde, which is a half decent sized town. That's where I grew up there. And so we'll follow it down and into those trees where I'm hoping the tunnel is still there. So here we go, coming in towards the tunnel. It's looking quite stinger-like. I mean, in the summer this is just going to be pointless, isn't it, if I'm honest, but I'm filming it right at the end of March, Good Friday. Well, there's an embankment again then. So I'm guessing that embankment that we were on at the start and this one, maybe it was a continuation then. Maybe it was an embankment pretty much most of the way. Which would make sense in terms of flooding perhaps, because I know this area floods a fair bit, so they would have wanted the line a little bit raised. So let's try and get in. Now the last time I was up here, there were remains of the tunnel. Not that you could get in, because it's all bricked up, because actually the chalk pit itself has been all infilled the other side. I've climbed over there before, many years ago, and you can kind of go down some stairs in towards what you think is, you know, a lower level of the chalk pit, but it's not, it's all infilled. And there's no remains of the tunnel mouth the other side whatsoever. So there you go. Now I think I've just seen a sleeper. Yeah, it looks like a sleeper down there, doesn't it? That's a railway sleeper down there. A wooden one from a very, very long time ago. Look how old that tree is. Now through there should be a tunnel. This has clearly been infilled because I think I can see the top of it. My heart dropped for a second then, you know. When I looked and basically just saw all that overgrown, I was like, tell me they've not buried the tunnel. But they haven't, I can see it. Oh, mate. What an anticlimax that would have been. So here we go, I'm going to film in case I stack it, usual drill. People that have watched a few on the channel will know that it's inevitable. So here we go. Unfortunately, it's basically just a tipping ground now. Although there are some remains, it seems, of the actual tunnel itself, look. And there you go. So they filled it in, what does that say? Does that say 1980? No, 1990. They filled that in 1990 then. I'm not sure why it needs a plaque to tell us when you filled in the tunnel, if I'm honest. But there you have it. So look at that. That was George Young's tunnel into his chalk pit. I mean, look at the width of it. That looks like a tramway tunnel, but it wasn't. It was standard gauge, as the whole of the Isle of Wight was. So you got the crosses there, look. I'm pretty sure that's to do with holding the structure into the land, isn't it? Into the ground. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's some ironwork at the top there as well, look. And you've got a main road going over the top. So there you go. George Young's tunnel. I'll have a clamber out now. So that's the story of George Young and Ashey West Station, and the tiny hamlet of Ashey that had two stations for what seemed to me as a kid for basically no reason, but there was a reason. Mr. Young was going to build a town, but it never happened. As always, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. I did. It's only a short one, but it's nice to get out despite the wind.